My name is Emily Harper. I'm 38 years old, living in a peaceful suburb just outside Denver, Colorado. On the surface, my life seemed picture-perfect. A reliable job, a cozy house, and a marriage that had held steady for 9 years. But one fateful evening shattered that illusion forever, revealing cracks I'd ignored for far too long. What if the person you trusted most was secretly dismantling your world while you planned a celebration? That's where my story begins, and it might just make you question the quiet silences in your own relationships. That day was special, or at least it should have been. July 15th marked our wedding anniversary and my husband Michael's birthday. 9 years in, I still held on to the hope that these milestones could reignite something real between us. I ducked out of work early, swung by the upscale liquor store for his preferred Cabernet, and picked up premium short ribs from the local butcher. Cooking wasn't my strong suit, but I wanted my actions to say what words often failed to. I dressed the table with a crisp linen cloth, flickering candles, and fairy lights draped over the patio. A modest cake sat chilling in the fridge, iced with happy birthday and anniversary in simple script. Nothing over the top, just sincere. By 7 p.m., everything was set. I slipped into a sundress Michael had complimented once. I glanced at my phone. Nothing. At 8, I ignited the candles. By 9, a quick text, "Waiting for you." Silence. At 9:45, I dialed. It went straight to voicemail. Then, at 10:50 p.m., an email pinged. One cut line, "Major client crisis. Stuck at the office. We'll reschedule."
No sorry, no aniversarivistes, no detalhes.
The flames had guttered out, leaving a smoky haze over the uneaten meal. I clutched the napkin I'd folded specially for him, feeling a deep, irreversible shift in my core. That night, I cleared the table alone, extinguished the lights, and climbed into bed still in that dress. Staring at the dark ceiling, I realized this wasn't a mere oversight. It was the quiet unraveling of everything I thought we had from afar. Michael Harper appeared enviable, poised, sharply dressed, exuding that effortless charisma that drew people in. As a marketing director for a property development company, he commanded respect with his assured tone. At social gatherings, I'd hear it constantly, "You're so fortunate." But behind closed doors, our bond had faded into emptiness. Michael seldom made it home before 10, and when he did, he'd check his emails, claiming he'd grabbed dinner out. Our talks devolved into briefings, deals, targets, timelines. Asking about his day? Always exhausting. I held down my own full-time gig as a finance coordinator for a healthcare distributor, stable if unexciting. I covered my bills, tidied up, prepped meals when possible, bent my routine to fit his. Over time, my own desires got sidelined, edited out like footnotes in a report. There were endless evenings of cooling dinners and solo TV sessions, where I'd convince myself this was adult love, practical, subdued. Michael expressed affection subtly, handling finances, suggesting trips that never materialized, scribbling notes like "Swamped, but you're on my mind." But thoughts aren't actions. When I'd broach our growing distance, he'd dismiss it, "You're overanalyzing. Work's brutal. True partners get that." I quit mentioning it, not because the ache vanished, but because I grew weary of being the sole spotter of our fractures. Truthfully, our union didn't shatter abruptly. It wore away gradually, like wind eroding rock, subtle, relentless, nearly unseen. That failed dinner wasn't the inaugural weight, it was the moment I ceased deceiving myself about its significance. The following morning, I rose at dawn, showered, dressed, and sipped coffee at the counter, feigning normalcy. I assured myself Michael was just buried in stress, we'd discuss it soon. That was my drilled-in pattern: postpone emotions. Remain logical. Endure. By midday, no word from him, no text, no call. I tried his number, voicemail again. A knot formed in my stomach, not full alarm, but an inexplicable disquiet. On lunch break, I slipped into a vacant corridor and rang his office, a first for me, as he hated personal interruptions there. The receptionist picked up after 2 rings. I requested him. A hesitant beat. She said, "Michael isn't with us anymore. He resigned 4 days back." I blinked, uncomprehending, and asked her to say it again. She did, adding he provided no forwarding info. 4 days. That predated our anniversary, the setup, his crisis email. My mind rewound, the overtime excuses, evasive responses, averted gazes. It all realigned into a stark, merciless truth. This wasn't job-related.
No urgency.
No late hours. Michael was exiting, and I'd been the final one he'd deigned to inform. As I clocked out that afternoon, my pulse steadied into resolve. The commute home dragged, each stoplight amplifying the weight. I wasn't heading back to salvage our life, I was barreling toward the revelation that would dismantle my illusions. I turned the key at 6:15 p.m. The house felt unnaturally still, no hum of electronics, no casual shuffle. My gaze hit the entryway coat rack. Michael's favored leather jacket was missing. I called out his name. Echoing quiet. I moved deliberately to the bedroom, body anticipating the scene. The door stood ajar. There he was by the bed, a duffel bag splayed open on the carpet. Stacks of attire surrounded him, a charcoal blazer, starched shirts, an unfamiliar scarf. On the nightstand, fresh loafers with price tags intact. He glanced up, face impassive. "You're back," he stated flatly, resuming his packing. "What's going on?" My tone echoed hollow. "Landed a better gig across state lines," he said, eyes down. "Phoenix. Starting soon." I stood rigid. "You quit without telling me? Planned this whole move?" Michael half-zipped the bag, retrieved a slim envelope from his briefcase, and set it on the comforter. He flipped it open, pushing the top sheet my way. Dissolution documents. I stared, the text blurring like foreign script. "Michael, explain this." He met my stare levelly. "You're not the partner I require now." The strike was surgical. "You prioritize your career," he pressed on. "The place is always a mess. Meals are hit or miss. You've let go." A surge rose in me. "I work full-time too. I maintain things. I adapt for you. You arrive late, say you're fed. I reach out, you brush it off." He shrugged it off. "Don't spin excuses. A true spouse doesn't need prompts." A harsh chuckle escaped. "So I'm to blame?" Michael sealed the envelope and rose. "Decision's final. Handle it gracefully." He hefted the bag and brushed past. No remorse, no elaboration, no pause. The front door latched shut. I crumpled to the rug, papers clutched tight. The space ballooned, vacant and alien. In that instant clarity hit. Our marriage had dissolved ages ago. I'd just been denied the memo. I lingered on the floor as dusk fell. The home now seemed leased, transient. The forms in my grasp outlined erasure, identifiers, timelines, sterile verbiage to nullify 9 years. Michael didn't reach out that evening or dawn after. 3 days on, mid-work, my cell buzzed, the property manager. Her voice was courteous, procedural. "Ms. Harper, we've got a lease cancellation notice. The main tenant says he's vacated. You'll need to exit by month's close." Stunned, I had her reiterate. She did, tacking on, "He noted you'd handle the clearance pre-deadline." No heads up, no dialogue, no direct word. That night, I rifled through every storage spot. Receipts for the couch, appliances, decor, mostly mine. He'd claimed only wardrobe and gadgets, discarding our shared existence like a stopover. Wandering the rooms, I paused at the patio with its faded lights, the kitchen of forsaken dinners, the bedroom faintly scented with his aftershave. Then, a pivot, not agony but insight. Michael hadn't fled unhappiness. He'd chosen the path of least resistance over confronting his flaws. That evening, I left the papers visible on the counter, not as scar or menace, but as fact. And for the first perhaps in eons, I dozed without anticipating footsteps. The dissolution docs idled on the table for 4 days. I eyed them at breakfast and bedtime. No evasion, no haste to sign. Not clinging to reunion, but craving comprehension. How had I vanished from my union unnoticed? I dissected our 9 years deliberately. Minor yields morphing habitual. Silencing grievances for convenience. Settling for scraps. I treated the marriage like office crises, solitary, streamlined resolution. No explosive infidelity reveal, no histrionics, no clear antagonist. just chronic disregard I'd rationalized, simpler than confessing isolation. Inking those pages signified embracing reality. I hadn't been ditched suddenly, I dimmed gradually. Michael merely capped what detachment initiated. On the fourth night, I prepped a solo supper and faced the files. Scanned each clause meticulously.
No tears, no rus.
Absorbed the closure. Then, folder shut. Not quite, I murmured to vacancy. Not doubt, but a final, conscious self-selection. That delay wasn't frailty, it was farewell grace to a chapter closing. Yet, as I stepped into a high school reunion, little did I know a chance encounter would spark the first glimmers of renewal, but an email from Michael would soon unveil a shocking new chapter in his life. Saturday evening, I lingered before the mirror, not for show, but to reaffirm my reflection. I opted for a sleek navy blouse and jeans, straightforward, authentic. Heading to my 20-year high school reunion at a cozy tavern in central Denver. I'd RSVP'd ages back, envisioning Michael beside me. Nearly bailed, then realized holing up would underscore my shrunken horizons. The venue buzzed with chatter and half-remembered faces, aged gracefully. I lingered peripherally until a voice hailed me. It was Ryan Caldwell, former desk neighbor in English. He grinned timelessly and fetched me a soda.
Chaflot de naturali.
He shared his 4-year divorce and solo parenting his son.
No resentment, pure candor.
When he inquired about Michael, I replied plainly, divorcing.
No embellissements, no regrets.
Ryan nodded, pivoted topics seamlessly. Attention in me eased. For weeks first, no scrutiny or sympathy, just ordinary exchange. En route home, windows cracked, radio humming an antique tune I'd once hummed solo while scrubbing. Lyrics resonated anew, piercing. That drive clarified, my existence wasn't concluded, it had merely ceased orbiting an absentee. A week post-filing via lawyer, my phone hummed near 11 p.m. Michael's email, subject, update. I clicked unflinchingly. An image loaded, matrimony license, his name bold, Michael Harper. Below, Victoria Langston, officiated in Arizona. Dated mere days post our decree. Before digesting, a call, him. Saw it. He launched. Remarried. Progress at last. I held mute, letting quiet expand. Her folks run a top-tier development firm in Tucson, he elaborated. Landed me a VP spot. House secured. All set. So the rush on divorce, I noted steadily. Partially, he conceded. Couldn't remain with a spouse who favored job over duties. I nearly scoffed, restrained. Victoria's home-focused, he boasted. No career. And expecting, 4 months. Each phrase scripted, a sales spiel too glossy for genuineness. I absorbed till end, then bid luck and disconnected. Later, I voiced her name, Victoria Langston. It nudged a vague unease. Social feeds search yielded her page. Polished shots, ideal poses, manicured narrative. Scrolling deep, I halted. Familiarity struck. Victoria Langston was once Victoria Klein. Same alma mater as me. Shy, ungainly, often sidelined. The current persona diverged vastly from that teen, save her gaze. That revelation crystallized Michael's pick. Not affection, not bond, and facade, a scrubbed slate. And for the initial since departure, void replaced sentiment. Next dawn, I phoned pal Jenna, high school confidant with elephantine recall.
Recal Victoria Klein.
Pause, then chuckle. Sure. What prompts? I unloaded. Michael's bolt, split, swift nuptials, alias.
Postale, Jenna Side.
Postgrad, she revamped in L.A. Design Academy, fresh crowd, new visage. Surgeries galore, lips, cheeks, brow, neck. It slotted the puzzle. I recollected Victoria, rear-seated, taciturn and less addressed. Dodged lenses and reflections. Navigated corridors head low, schooled early in attention sting. Now, she beamed alongside Michael in ivory, triumphant. What jarred wasn't ops or wealth, it was their parallelism. Michael too had scrubbed origins. No vintage pics shared, no uni tales, minimal ceremony sans Prius kin. I dubbed it discretion, now evasion. Duo self-revisers converged. Forged an exterior flawless existence, fresh IDs, roles clout. But foundations on fiction crumble swift. That night, I pondered pretense's toll, daily vigilance lest cracks show. No jealousy, no ire relief. While they fled former selves, I embraced mine squarely. But just when I thought the chapter closed, a frantic call from Michael about their newborn would pull me back into their chaos, revealing a heartbreaking twist that no one saw coming. 3 weeks hence, an unknown digit flashed repeatedly on my screen. Instinct urged answer. Michael's voice, strained. Victoria delivered, he blurted. A daughter. I paused. She doesn't resemble us, he pressed, edge sharpening. Thought newborn phase, but DNA confirms mine. Not the problem. Then. I queried composedly. She won't touch her, Emily. Stares at her features and recoils. Last night, her sister took the infant from staff, cause Victoria balked. I shut my lids, a weight settling. Not glee, but sorrow for an innocent burdened from birth by parental shadows. Remember your college yearbook? I ventured. Silence. Unearthed it packing your remnants, I added. You forbade that shelf, but I peeked. Saw the snaps, Michael. Frizzy locks, uneven smile, blemishes. Not flawed, real. I altered from doubt, he murmured. No. Ikuntarat. Escaped identity, like Victoria. He breathed unevenly. You believe she'll echo our old looks? She'll mirror reality, I stated. And reality surfaces inevitably. Another hush. Clueless here, he confessed. Softly, I advised, cherish her regardless. Don't fault her for bearing what you buried. He began replying. I interjected. You deemed me deficient wife for lacking surrender. Yet now, you're shirking fatherhood. I terminated, blocked. Not fury, finale. That eve, insight dawned, I'd escaped pre-collapse. But that babe would navigate amid debris. And freshly, gratitude swelled, my path severed from self-deniers. Almost 18 months elapsed sans uttering Michael's moniker. Not erasure effort, but irrelevance to my forward. Relocated to compact condo in Aurora, stroll from job. Featured slim deck, ample raise for potted veggies. Dawns turned serene positively. Early rise, brew java, window perch sans haste. Trimmed hours, decoupled value from fatigue. Enrolled pottery workshop, long deferred for mismatched agendas. Rekindled bonds, vintage and novel. Ryan and I shared moments label-free, strolls, dialogues, easy quiets. No proofs needed. One midday, bumped Jenna at cafe. She dropped Michael update neutrally, fresh scandal, another liaison. Union fraying fast as formed. I absorbed impassively. No victory, mere detachment. Homeward, detoured bakery for muffin. Savored on trail bench, sun filtering foliage. My days uncomplicated now. No termoil, no venir upkeep. And long absent, simplicity equaled liberty. Folks query if I pardoned Michael. I grin, respond unnecessary. Pardon suggests obligation. I opted liberation. Rebuilt not for vindication, but survival, lingering would have self-erased incrementally. De parture la quête spectacle, intentionnel. Some pursue overhaul via influence, rank, allure. Others via truth. One necessitates perpetual guard, latter merely halts facade. Michael and Victoria raced history. Yet verity emerges softly. Via eras, offspring, unerasable fallout. I selected alternate, lucidity, tranquility, existence sans defense. If this tale echoes, ponder spots you diminish for others' ease. Thumbs up if undervalued. Forward to one needing exit nod. Comment insights. Not vengeance yarn, freedom saga. Hold on, because as I embraced my new beginning, whispers of Michael's crumbling facade reached me, leading to a final reflection on what true reinvention really means. In those quiet months of rebuilding, I discovered that freedom isn't about erasing the past. It's about facing it head-on and choosing to grow beyond it. But just as I settled into my rhythm, echoes from Michael's world reminded me how fragile fabricated lives can be. What happens when the perfect image you've built starts to crack under the weight of reality? That's the twist that pulled me back one last time, and it might make you rethink the masks we all wear. Word of Michael's troubles filtered through mutual acquaintances, but I kept my distance. Jenna's cafe update was the first direct hit. His rapid marriage to Victoria was already showing strains, with rumors of infidelity swirling in their elite circles. I nodded, unchanged. My focus stayed on my own path, pottery classes turning into a weekend hobby, where molding clay felt like reshaping my narrative. Ryan and I progressed naturally, a picnic here, a movie there, building something grounded in mutual respect rather than obligation. Then, one crisp fall evening, my phone lit with a text from an old colleague who'd crossed paths with Michael at a conference. Heard about the mess? Divorce number 2 incoming. Attached was a screenshot from a local business forum, posts hinting at professional fallout, clients jumping ship amid personal scandals. I didn't reply, but it stirred a quiet acknowledgement. The empire he'd chased was as unstable as the lies it stood on. Victoria's family influence couldn't patch every leak. That night, I journaled for the first time in years, not about him, but about me, listing gratitude, the sunlight on my balcony herbs, laughter with friends, the peace of solitary decisions. As winter approached, another layer unfolded. Hannah, wait Jenna, mentioned offhand that Victoria had filed for separation, citing irreconcilable differences that tabloids spun into tales of Michael's wandering eye and her postpartum struggles. The baby, now a toddler, was caught in the crossfire. I felt a pang for the child, inheriting a legacy of avoidance. But it reinforced my choice. I'd opted out before becoming collateral in someone else's self-deception. Reflecting deeper, I realized Michael's reinvention wasn't evolution, it was evasion. He and Victoria had sculpted exteriors to bury insecurities, but kids don't fit neatly into edited stories. They reflect unfiltered truths, the curly hair, the awkward phases, the humanity we all start with. In contrast, my changes were internal, learning to voice needs, setting boundaries, finding joy in the mundane. No surgeries, no status climbs, just honest steps forward. People still ask about closure. I tell them it's not a door slamming, it's a gentle release. I didn't need to witness his downfall to heal, I needed to build a life where his actions no longer echoed. Today, my condo feels like home, not a waiting room. I host small gatherings, experiment with recipes for fun, not approval. Ryan's become a steady presence, our connection built on shared realities, not illusions. If you're nodding along, remember, true strength isn't in rewriting your story, it's in owning every chapter. Like if you've risen from underestimation. Share with a friend chasing facades. Comment your breakthroughs. This isn't about downfall, it's about rising authentically. But as seasons turned, a surprising invitation from the past would test my resolve, revealing if I'd truly left the shadows behind or if one final confrontation awaited. Imagine receiving a call from your ex, not for reconciliation, but because their perfect new life is imploding, and they turn to you for wisdom. That's the curveball that hit me one snowy afternoon, forcing me to confront whether I'd fully released the past or if old ties still lingered. Stick around, this part uncovers how I handled it, and it could inspire you to cut those lingering chords in your own story. It was February, snow blanketing Aurora in a hush. I just finished a pottery session, hands still clay-dusted, when my phone rang, blocked number, but I answered on a whim. Michael's voice, ragged. Emily, don't hang up. I need advice. I paused, curiosity overriding instinct. Victoria left. Took the kid. Says I'm repeating patterns. He spilled, affairs exposed, job teetering, her family pulling strings for custody. How did you move on so cleanly? He asked, almost pleading. I leaned against my counter, sipping tea. By facing facts, not fleeing them. We talked, an hour of him unraveling excuses, me offering measured truths. You built on sand, Michael. Images crack, authenticity endures. He admitted regrets, rushing the divorce, chasing status, ignoring our erosion. For the first time, vulnerability peeked through his polish. But I didn't soften boundaries. This isn't my fix, I said. Seek therapy, not exes. We ended civilly. I blocked again, lighter. That exchange clarified. I'd evolved beyond his orbit. My days filled with purpose, promoted at work to senior coordinator, balancing with hikes and book clubs. Ryan and I defined us on our terms: weekend getaways, honest talks about fears.
No ruse, no pretense.
Spring brought renewal. I volunteered at a women's shelter, sharing my journey in group sessions. Hearing others' echoes of neglect empowered me. I wasn't alone. Jenna updated sporadically, Michael's solo now, in counseling, fighting for visitation. I wished silent well wishes, no malice. Pondering it all, I grasped reinvention's essence. Not external overhauls, but internal shifts. Michael and Victoria chased veneers. I chose depth. Their child, innocent mirror, forced confrontations they dodged. Mine? A life of quiet victories, fresh-baked bread shared with neighbors, stargazing from my deck, embracing flaws as features. Queries on bitterness arise. I explain, release trumps resentment. I rebuilt from me, not spite. Simplicity became my superpower. No chaos, just choices aligning with my core. Resonate? Reflect on ties holding you back. Thumbs up for resilience. Share for inspiration. Comment your releases. Not tragedy, triumph. Yet, as I thought peace was permanent, a family secret from my own past surfaced, threatening to upend the stability I'd fought for. What if, after escaping one web of deception, you discovered your own family history held hidden truths that mirrored the very lies you'd fled? That's the revelation that shook my foundation last summer, proving that freedom demands ongoing vigilance. Hang in there. This segment explores how I navigated it, and it might encourage you to dig into your own untold stories. It started innocently, a genealogy app ping during a lazy Sunday.
Curious, I dove in, tracing branch.
But one name halted me, my maternal grandmother, listed with a second marriage I'd never heard of, predating grandpa. Photos surfaced, her younger, with a man resembling Michael in his unedited youth. Heart racing, I called Mom. Why the secret? She sighed, confessing, Grandma fled an abusive first union, reinventing post-divorce. She wanted a clean slate, like you did. The parallel stung, echoes of evasion in my lineage. Had I inherited a pattern of silence? I journaled furiously, unpacking my quiet endurance in marriage, Mom's hushed family tales. It wasn't fate, it was learned. Therapy sessions ramped up, I confronted inherited habits, vowing transparency. This unearthed truth fueled growth. I shared with Ryan, our bond deepened through vulnerability. Work thrived, I led a team project, advocating open communication. Socially, I hosted truth-telling dinners, where friends bared souls sans judgment. Michael's saga faded further, last whisper, he'd won partial custody, committing to change. I felt detached compassion, no ties left. Ultimately, this family twist taught, history's shape, but don't define. I chose breaking cycles, embracing full stories, flaws included. My condo bloomed with personal artifacts, old photos, pottery pieces, symbols of unfiltered self. Folks probe happiness. I affirm, it's in authenticity, not perfection. No more shrinking, full presence. Echoing? Unearth your roots. Like for courage. Share for awakening. Comment discoveries. Not shadows, light. Picture this, just when you've mastered solo flight, life throws a familiar face your way, offering a partnership that feels like destiny. But is it a fresh start or a tempting echo of the past? This closing chapter reveals my ultimate decision, wrapping our tale with hope, and it could spark your own bold move toward what you truly deserve. Summer Festival in Denver. Crowds, music, serendipity. There, amid booths, I spotted Lucas, no Ryan, from the reunion, but wait, an evolution. He'd mentioned a high school crush once, turns out it was me. We laughed over shared memories, strolling till dusk. Dates followed, honest, exhilarating. No games, pure connection. Yet doubts crept. Was I ready? Therapy affirmed. This differed, mutual, present. Michael? Ancient history. His life stabilized, mine soared. I proposed to Ryan under fairy lights, echoing my old anniversary setup, but this time reciprocal. We wed small, vowing truth always. Today, blended family thrives, his son, our adventures. Career balances with passions. Freedom? It's shared authenticity. If inspired, claim your narrative. Like, share, comment. Not end, beginning.